Listen, you son of a bitch!
Have you ever been addicted to a video game franchise? Well, I have, and it fucking sucked. Okay, so we're back in the big year 2020-2021, and I just got my first Nintendo console ever. The Nintendo Switch Lite. And like any person with a Nintendo Switch, I got games. Sonic games. Fast forward a couple years, I'm a bored bum with nothing better to do. So I'm gonna rank every Sonic game ever, or at least the ones I played. Yeah, I know, this is one of the most original video ideas ever. But this is a new channel, so what do you expect? Quality content? Anyways, this is all just my opinion, so if you don't agree with me on something, then...
There's sand everywhere. Green Hill's looking a lot more like Sand Hill right now.
Sonic Forces, one of the least Sonic games to ever be made, considering they fucking killed him before the first level. Sonic Forces was actually the first game I bought for my Switch Lite. And hear me out, I kinda like it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But when I say that, I mean I like Sonic Forces as much as you can like a game like Sonic Forces. The worst part about this game is it had the potential to be so good, but instead it tripped on its third leg and fumbled the bag. The game was hyped up to be this big new Sonic game, but it was nothing like how it looked in the trailers. Like, Sega just blatantly lied to us. And for anything good about this game, there's 10 other things that make it worse. Prime example of this is the soundtrack. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Are you hearing what I'm hearing? Cause I can hardly believe what I'm hearing is from the same game that fucked up classic Sonic's movement so bad. The only good things in this game is the avatar creator and the final boss. Yeah, I like the final boss. Go ahead and hate me. And overall, I give this game a disappointing out of 10. Speaking of disappointing, Sonic Superstars, my personal 911. Right out of the gate, Bridge Island Zone is pretty good. Sonic also controls really well, which makes sense considering they were ripped straight from Sonic Mania, which is not a bad thing at all, considering how good that game felt. Some of the music sounds really good. I'm also a really big fan of the level design. Alongside the stunning visuals, it kind of makes you think this game's gonna be perfect. Quick, somebody tell a lie. This game's gonna be perfect. Yeah, after around the 4th zone, Superstars quality takes a massive hit, which is really disappointing. But before I get into the many flaws of this game, let's talk about some of the things Superstars kinda did right, because there's more than you'd expect from a game like this. Fang's back. The character roster is also really strong. Aside from your typical Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, we also have Amy and the newest character, Trip, and more about her later. The menu animations are really good. The soundtrack is alright. I also like how each Chaos Emerald has a cool power, even though it messes up everything we know about them. Now to get into some of the bad things. Take the special stages, for example. At first, I really liked them, but after the 4th Emerald, they just start feeling really boring. I also hate how badly they messed up Trip's story, because you literally play the whole entire game again, but everything's just changed up a bit to fit Trip. I kinda wish they went the Sonic Mania Plus route, switching up the color palette, so playing the game again wouldn't feel so boring. Speaking of boring, what are these boss fights? They all could have been so good, but they take 5 minutes to beat. There's no reason they need to last this long. Do you remember speedrunning Super Sonic in the classic games? Well, you can't do that anymore because you can only get 1 Chaos Emerald per zone. There's also that online mode that you can't play because nobody else is playing it. And why would you bring Fang back if you're not even gonna make him playable? The game was also really buggy, which is a given because, you know, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Not only that, but the game launched for $60. And honestly, the more you look at this game, the more things you find wrong with it. It's sad because I had high hopes for Superstars. But this game also gave us Pinball Carnival Zone, so for that, I'm happy. Overall, whether you like it or hate it, Sonic Superstars is a decent game with many flaws, so it gets a 6 out of 10. The sad thing about this is there isn't a whole lot of stuff I could say about Mania. Sonic Mania is the Sonic game ever. I genuinely believe Mania is the best 2D Sonic to this day. It's also weird knowing that there are people out there who genuinely hate Mania. How on God's green earth can someone genuinely hate this? And to me, Sonic Mania is genuinely a perfect game. From colors, music, level design, I genuinely can't find one bad thing about this game. If I were to sit here and talk about everything I love about Mania, we'd probably be here for hours. And I could use that for a future video. And in my totally non-biased opinion, Sonic Mania is a 20 out of 10 game and nothing will ever convince me otherwise.
Take off at the speed of sound. Bright lights, colors all around.
Sonic Colors Ultimate. Yeah, unlike a lot of you, I never got to experience the Wii version of Colors. So when I was able to play this game for the first time, I was actually really excited. Yeah, I wasn't missing out on too much. Don't get me wrong, Colors isn't a bad game, and I actually had a lot of fun playing it. But I was kind of disappointed because when I went into this game, I was expecting a 3D Sonic. But what I really got was a 2D modern Sonic game with 3D levels every now and then. Which again, doesn't make Colors a bad game, it just kind of took away from my experience. The story of Colors also feels really bland, and I feel like they could have done so much more with their introduction of Wisp. Speaking of Wisps, I just want to say I love the little dudes and how they've pretty much been a staple of the franchise since their introduction in Colors. And the music in Colors is also pretty good. I also like how everything has a slight glow to it. It kind of encapsulates on the Colors part of this game. But after everything's said and done, Sonic Colors just feels like your typical Sonic game experience. I had a fun time with it, but it was nothing groundbreaking. I'd probably like this game a lot more if I had grown up with the Wii version and had nostalgia to base everything on. I wish there was more I could say about this game. Overall, I had a good experience with Colors, and I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Sonic Origins, Sega's newest installment in classic Sonic game bundles, including Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD. And it's not your typical lazy emulation thrown together slot bundle. Nah, there was actually some effort put into this, like how each of the games were rebuilt in a new engine and play almost like how they used to, but slightly better. There's also the new and fully animated cutscenes that give more context to events in between games, and I just feel like they add so much to Origins. There's also new things like missions, mirror mode, boss rush, and story mode, which is my personal favorite. And in the Origins Plus DLC, you can also play 12 classic Game Gear games. Oh yeah, there's Amy. And yeah, Sonic Origins is a flawless game with absolutely no problems. Just kidding, there's a lot of them. Like how the best tracks in Sonic 3 had to get replaced because of Michael Jackson of all people. Yeah, the same dude who does. And what might be the worst part of this game? The price. Sonic Origins costs $40. The bundle of 30-year-old classic Sonic games costs 40 Washingtons. That's outrageous. Not to mention, 3 of the games are available for free on your phone. Sega, what are you doing? But for the sole fact that I can now play all of Sonic 3 on my TV, I like this game. 8 out of 10. I don't care what you think. Fight me.
I'm hanging on to the other side. I won't give up till the end of night.
Sonic Frontiers, Sega's latest entry in 3D Sonic games. Frontiers is way different from any Sonic game you've ever seen before, as it takes a step back from the more linear level-to-level design of past games and goes into a more open zone Breath of the Wild-esque gameplay style. The vast and expansive islands gives you the freedom to explore so much and complete the game at your own pace. They also make Sonic control really well, which makes it super fun to run around the islands the entire game. You can also unlock new moves as you play the game and pull out these super satisfying combos on the new variety of enemies, and you can feel this in its true glory during the bosses, where you fight these huge titans and play as Super Sonic, and there's the epic music, and oh my gosh, it's so amazing. The story of Frontiers is also supposed to be more serious, but all that really happens is Eggman upsets an ancient race of aliens, and you gotta stop it while saving Sonic's friends. The game also adds a lot more to each character, like Amy not being as obsessed with Sonic, Tails not wanting to be Sonic's shadow anymore, and Knuckles seeing himself as more than just the protector of the Master Emerald. But even though the writing in Frontiers is pretty good, the same can't be said about the graphics. The colors in Frontiers just feel bland and boring a lot of the time. There's also a horrible pop-in problem that you'll notice the more you play this game. This could easily be fixed if they added some sort of glitch effect over the assets that pop in, but they just haven't done that for some reason. I also want to confess that I never played the Final Horizon because when it came out, I didn't have any interest in getting back into Frontiers, but I'll probably try it in the near future. But even then, I genuinely think Frontiers is an amazing game and it gives me hope for the future of the Sonic franchise. Since I'm a simple man to please, Frontiers gets a 10 out of 10. Yeah, I know, I've played an embarrassingly small amount of Sonic games. I'll admit, I actually played Unleashed and Generations, but that was years ago. And I don't have enough memory of either game to rank them accurately without replaying them. And I kinda made this video as an excuse to rant about the Sonic games that I've played. But if this video has good reception, then I'll definitely play some of the Sonic games I never got to experience and remake this list in its entirety. Anyways, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.